We're talking to Loren Hunter, who is playing Jane Seymour in Six the Musical. It's opening in New Zealand in February, and we are absolutely fizzing. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yes.
So both Shannon and I are big fans of the musical, but if someone is watching this and doesn't know anything about it, what can they expect?
I was thinking about this in the shower 2 seconds ago. I would think like Tudor history meets Spice Girls.
Yeah.
That is such a good description.
Do you know what I mean? So it's high octane, high energy, think pop concert, but with a little history lesson in there.
I love that you said you thought of that while in the shower, because while I just was in the toilet 2 minutes ago, I thought of a question for you.
How good.
It's
They
so
say like good ideas and like creativity happens when driving a car and when having a shower, apparently.
exactly.
So
Well, I was thinking to ask you, imagine you're like doing a BuzzFeed quiz. What queen do you reckon you would be?
it's interesting. I go back to like the auditions and I think about, I think I went for like four out of the six queens. So I was really lucky in being able to like touch on a lot of stories. And there's just something about this particular one that I play that just, it's like when you try on a jacket and it fits you really, really well. That's sort of what happened in the room. And so yeah, I know it's so beige and boring, but I do tend to resonate with the idea of Jane Seymour being extremely resilient and sort of having this sort of quiet confidence that's sort of bubbling. Yeah, and people underestimate her and her story, and I like the sort of idea of like a phoenix rising from the ashes in a lot of ways. And not to say that yeah, those ideas resonate with me. Is it something that I've lived in my life? Yes, as we all have. But yeah, I don't know. There's something about Jane that yeah, I feel like it fits.
That's
Yeah.
good. I guess that makes it a bit easier every day.
Right? Although I do love Aragon as well. There's something quite spicy and like a bit more front-footed than Jane. You know what I mean? In terms of like her being like, no, and Jane's like, everything's fine, but
Yeah.
is there something like an undercurrent happening, you know? So I don't know. They're
Yeah.
all quite fun.
So you've been touring in Australia for with Six for about 4 or so years now. Have you always done Jane?
Yeah, always done Jane. Yeah. So I auditioned for it back in 2019 and we had about a 3 month run until obviously everything happened with COVID. And I went back home to Brisbane for quite some time, but it was sort of Six was in the periphery
Yeah.
all the time, even then.
Yeah.
And then we got to do a 14-month tour of Australia, which was just a wild amount of fun. We just had the best time. And then being able to do it again is pretty wild. I didn't think that it would happen so quick. That even though, what is it, like a year and a half went by, it still feels very present, even though ever present, even though, we closed the show not the February just gone, but February last year. And yeah, it feels like it was just yesterday. So yeah,
Are you excited to bring it down to New Zealand? Have you been here before?
I have never been to New Zealand and I
Oh,
cannot tell you. I'm going to make the most of my time there. I said to my partner, I was like, you're going to come for the last week and then we're going to go for an adventure. I just hear such amazing things about New Zealand. Um, and I just can't wait. I cannot wait.
it's a bit
Thanks
of
for having us.
it's a
Yeah.
bit of a rite of passage. We've got to go over to the Goldie. You've got to come down here. It's just how it goes.
Yes, I feel like a lot of New Zealanders come to Queensland.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why is that? Sun?
Yeah.
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 I don't know. Maybe we just want to take a risk with a spider or a snake.
Yeah.
It's fun.
We've lived very sheltered lives.
And
I love that. No, I love it that you
I
will come to Queensland. I think it's great.
Yeah, I am so excited for you guys to come as well because I had tickets to the when you guys were supposed to come to New Zealand and then COVID happened. So we've been waiting a long time.
Yes. You have been waiting a long time. Thank you for being so patient. I'm sure we will make it the best part of the tour.
A lot of artists, that Kiwi crowds are next level.
Yeah.
We will be screaming for you. Oh, yeah.
Gosh, I love to hear it. The audience is such a huge part of Six. And it's funny, obviously, having done it before and then having the new cast on this time round and in rehearsals, just sort of not twiddling my thumbs, but just going, I promise you all it'll make sense when you have an audience there. Because they, as we all have talked about in rehearsals before, the audience are like the seventh queen. So they're so involved. And so I can't wait when you say to me that, Auckland, New Zealand audiences are amazing. I'm like, woo! I'm ready for it.
I think people like, should we dress up? Like we love getting
Yeah.
behind a concert. Should we wear like, white for you? Or, do we dress up as a
Yes,
get some glitter on?
absolutely. Absolutely. We had the sing-along performance about 2 Sundays ago. And, everyone sort of had their little moment of dressing up. There was like a full family wearing all the Holbein glasses and the shirts, and everyone's quite creative. So yes, get behind it. Go
Yeah.
for it.
And like you speak about a sing-along performance. I'm not sure if there's one of those on this tour, but how do you feel about the audience singing along? Because I don't know how I'm going to control myself not to, you know?
It's an interesting thing. So sometimes our creative team will go out and watch the show, and we get notes, and that's just part of our job, right? And so sometimes they'll be like, wow, I was sitting next to someone who was singing the entire show. But we've got little in-ears in, which is essentially like they're molded to our ears, so we can't hear much of the audience unless it comes through this one microphone that's at the top, which comes in and out. So we can hear applause and we can hear laughter, but we can't often hear just the one person, having a sing along, right? Just fine. But with the sing along performance, where the entire, 1,200 people, I think, is the Comedy Theatre in Melbourne, and they're all singing at you. It was so, I can't tell you. I think it was the closest to feeling like a pop star of like, when they write songs and they have the audience singing their lyrics back to them. There was something so magical about singing Heart of Stone. And in the second chorus, I sort of open it out to the audience and sort of tell them, you can build me up, you can tear me down, right? But they're all singing it back to me. So it was just the most beautiful experience. And they were all very respectful as well, of like really quieter moments with the sing along too, that they get told not to do any of the dialogue. And they were just, they were so on board, they were so on board. And so respectful, and it was just, I love it. I absolutely loved it. I didn't know what to expect, but I loved it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts about seeing the show from online, obviously, because I haven't seen it
Yeah,
live,
yeah.
is the costumes and seeing how many layers it is. I know it's not just a little chuck and
No.
gum. It is layered, right? Is that real different to other productions you've been
Yeah. To put it quite simply, the weight of them is also actually, I did Strictly Ballroom the musical about 10 years ago, and the weight of the ball gowns of that were pretty heavy. So, but these are different because they're basically like plastic. So we all have sort of we can't sort of breathe. We can, but it makes it quite difficult because they don't sort of have that sort of give to it. But the layers, so for instance, my costume, I can speak for myself, but I have 3 layers of stockings, then
Okay.
my leotard. No, I've forgotten a step. Then I have my microphone undies, so it's got like my pack in it, right? Then I've got my leotard, and then the corset and the skirt attach, so I can just put that on. But then I have these like weird little clips that to sort of hold it into place. But I know that Aragon's costume, it's like wild. Cleese's costume, wild, just a lot of layers, and it's quite heavy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So different to other shows that I've done for sure, in that it's weighted.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess
Yeah.
lastly, we just wrap up with like, what is your favorite song from the show? Either it's yours or one of the other ones.
I really love obviously no spoilers here, but there's like a remix that
Yeah.
happens after a certain time of the show, and that's a lot of fun. This is the remix, like just like this the beat, the way that we all come together. I love that part. I really do.
I can't wait. It's going to be such a party vibe. We'll be dressing up, so I hope
Yeah.
other Kiwis show up.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm not next to your boss and they don't critique my singing
Yeah.
instead of yours. Um,
No, you must sing. Absolutely,
Thank you so much
absolutely.
for speaking to us, and we look forward to having you in our beautiful country.
We cannot wait. I'm telling you, we're all so excited. And thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled.